Okay, guys, this is letter E off of worksheet 3.2, number 1, angle puzzles. Remember, we are dealing with parallel lines that are cut by a transversal. We're dealing with the types of angles that are made when those when those multiple lines, I should say, intersect. And we are also dealing with their measures. Okay, so as I said in class, the easiest thing to do is actually to write all over your picture and write all your angle degrees on your picture, everything in there on your picture first, and then transfer it over onto the answer blank. So that's why I only have the picture here. Okay, so we're looking at letter E. The only thing that I see right now is I see two parallel lines, obviously, and they are marked with their arrows, right? Got those two parallel lines right there, and I see that I've got two angle measures. Angle 4 is 60 degrees and angle 8 is 54 degrees. So I'm actually just going to go in and start writing what I know and what I can write immediately. I know that angle 1 and angle 4 right there, I know that those two are vertical angles, and vertical angles, remember, are congruent, so I'm immediately going to write a 60 degrees there. The other way I'm going to go is down to angle 10, angle 8 and angle 10, right there. These two are they are a pair of vertical angles. So this is 54 degrees. Okay, and at this point, I kind of need to step back and see what I can see and kind of write things as I go. Now, I'm looking down here at the group of angles 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm down at the bottom group of angles, and I'm looking and I see, okay, 7 and 8 make a linear pair, 7 and 10 make a linear pair, 8 and 9 make a linear pair, 9 and 10 make a linear pair. Remember, linear pair, two angles that are adjacent, and they form a line, which means that they are supplementary. When I add them up, those two angle measures, I add those up, I get 180 degrees. So in order for me to do this, I'm going to do 180 minus 54. 180 minus 54 should give me 126. 126 degrees for angle 7. Right? And then angle 9, vertical to angle 7, so it's 126 degrees. So I've got that. Now, a couple ways you can go, and it's going to be what you see and what you have and where you want to go with this. I'm actually going to now take a look at, well, I guess I can look at angle 8. And if I look at angle 8, right, I'm shading in green, or tracing in green, I should say. And if I look at angle 6, remember that type of angle that we just traced where we've got a Z, right, the letter Z, that is an alternate interior angle. And when our lines are parallel, our alternate interior angles are congruent, so this is definitely going to be a 54 degrees. Okay, and then I can actually look over angle 6 and angle 3. Those are vertical angles, so that's 54 degrees. And I can figure out 2 and 5. The nice thing about 2 and 5, they're vertical, but if I look at, even if I just look at like this line right here, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4, those three angles form that line. So if I take the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4, I'll get 180 degrees. 180 degrees, there we go. So if I do 180 minus 54 minus 60, that'll give me the measure of angle 2, right? So when I type that in, I get 66 degrees. And then, of course, angle 5 is vertical. So that's 66 degrees. All right. So I already have a ton of stuff on there. And the only thing that I'm missing is 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I have to be really, really, really careful. You have to be really, really careful. The two horizontal lines that I've highlighted in yellow, those two lines are parallel. Those are the only two lines are parallel. So when I'm dealing with this and dealing with angle measures, then I have to be careful that I don't, oops, sorry, covering that up. I want a highlighter, not a normal pen. There we go. When I'm dealing with this and I'm trying to trace angles and figure out what I have to be very careful. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trace angle 4. There's angle 4 that I've just traced, and I'm going to trace angle 13. Now, the letter that I just made is an F, so that's corresponding angles. And then, of course, when we have corresponding angles, when we have parallel lines and we have corresponding angles, those corresponding angles are congruent. So 4 and 13 are going to be congruent, so that's 60 degrees. And then 11 and 13 are both vertical angles, so those are going to be congruent. And then 12 and 13 make a linear pair, so 12 has to be 120 degrees, and 12 and 14 are congruent because they are vertical angles. And so then I have everything filled in, and what I can do is actually go back and double check. I know there's a lot of highlighting, there's a lot of coloring on this, and I know, and I'm sorry. But what I can do is I can go back and double check. I will pick, oh, let's go, let's make it a happy triangle. So if we go in here and check out this triangle right there, it's made up of angle 5, angle 8, and angle 11. If I double check, right, some stuff that I already know, even though we haven't really talked about it in class, we kind of remember from previous years, that if I add up those three angles, 66 plus 54 plus 60, I should get 180. And that's one way I can double check and make sure that I've got some of that in there done correctly. The other way I can do is 12 and, oh, let's go with this. This is going to be terrible. You guys aren't going to be able to see any of this. Hopefully you can still see all the writing. If I look at angle 12 and the angle that I just highlighted in the rainbow pen, I should say rainbow or tie-dye, I've got those two angles are actually corresponding, and they should be congruent because our lines are parallel. So if I just double check 66 plus 54, I get 120 degrees. So I have 120 degrees there total, and angle 12 is 120 degrees. Again, just double checking. There's a lot of numbers on here. There's a lot of angles on here, and there are little tricks and little tips that you can go back and you can double check and make sure that you've done it correctly. Okay. Aside from the massive quantity of crazy colors on here, I hope that this helped out.